Hello, everybody. My name is Daniel Bernard. Welcome to our Be Educated in Your Health webinar tonight. Listen, we're really about 30 seconds away, so you still got time to go ahead and text out to somebody, beeducatedinyourhealth.com, get them on. We are going ahead and beginning right now. So again, I want to welcome all of you who are there watching through live stream, and thank you for taking up your time to be on tonight. I believe you're going to be very thankful that you came on. You're going to get some very valuable information for your health and the health of your loved ones. So with no further ado, then I want to share with you Dr. John Huey. As I introduced him last week, of course, and his credentials and what have you, and you can check that out in the video from last week. But chiropractor from Canada, with great background as a nutritionist, and of course in microbiology, and so all those areas. And so, Dr. Huey, thanks for being on. And what we want to do tonight is, first of all, to catch some people up. And by the way, you'll be able to go onto beeducatedinyourhealth.com and see the recording of this as well. And I believe maybe even that of last week. But for those who maybe weren't on last week, what I'd like to do is just do a very brief summary, because our focus was on how our flagship product, Protandim, helps, why it helps with the resistance to COVID. And I remember 2 points particularly that you brought about, that not only you, but you brought out about research that was third-party research that you had found. That was 2 things. You mentioned about how the receptors, how it helps, I guess I want to say, and correct me, obviously, you're the doctor, I'm not, regarding the receptors that are required for the COVID, and it kind of denies them that. And then the second thing, of course, we want to talk about is the increase in glutathione that takes place when you take our flagship product, Protandim.
Yes, the idea that the NRF2, which we're talking about, a protein that Protandim increases exceptionally well, obviously the best of anything ever tested. When that's higher in the cells, the ability of the COVID virus to get into human cells is decreased, because there's what's called an ACE2 protein that allows the virus to sneak into the cells. That is dampened. It's less active when NRF2 is high. So that's a very good thing to have in the body, because if the epithelial cells in the lungs aren't able to attract and to pass that virus into the cells won't get infected. The other thing you mentioned as far as glutathione, that Protandim increases glutathione in humans by 300% in 4 months, which is a huge importance when it comes to this. The one paper that I was citing last week from, I believe it was in March of last year, talked about endogenous glutathione, so your own cellular glutathione levels, as the most important indicator for COVID mortality and morbidity. So that level of glutathione determines how badly infected one gets, how bad the response is, and how likely you are to die. That's why people in 85 and over, they have a much greater risk of death, because their glutathione levels are naturally declining with age. We know that about from the age of 20, they start to decline. And if you can increase glutathione levels, which has been shown scientifically to be the case with Protandim at every age, so someone that's 80 years old can have the glutathione levels of a much younger person, that will enable that person to behave, at least in a cellular sense, at a much younger age as well. So I think it's extremely promising. You're not going to find a single scientist that says, increasing glutathione is a bad thing. Just on the contrary, there's tons of papers out there right now, and more each week, talking about the importance of increasing NRF2 and how it adversely affects the ability of the virus to get into us. So it's very exciting.
And when we focus on glutathione, I know that Dr. Keller from Yale University talked about that every most, or if not every cancer patient, I can't remember what she said, but basically almost every cancer patient is deficient of that enzyme. So and so you just put the dots together. If you're deficient in that, and this can increase glutathione 300% in 120 days, you might want to be on the product. And so you're talking about prostate cancer, you're talking about Parkinson's, and of course there's that great video from someone who used to be on our science board, Dr. David Perlmutter. He was a neurologist out of, I believe it's Naples, and he did this with a 68-year-old Vietnam veteran who had Parkinson's, and as he shared, he stuttered and so forth, and walked, very awkwardly and what have you. And then he injects him with glutathione. 30 minutes later, he's walking perfectly, talking perfectly. And the point being, you can go ahead and get a $1,250 shot of glutathione, or you can allow your own body, as Protandim activates your own body to reproduce that glutathione, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it'll make it in its own cells, and at a much more effective rate as well.
So guys, if you want to get the full, so we try to give you a quick summary of two of the most important things that we talked about last week in regard to our flagship product, Protandim, and why it's effective. And so we also asked you to give us some questions. And so we're going to read one question. I think maybe Dr. Huey has a second one. But this one came in, Dr. Huey. It says, will you please also discuss the importance of NRF2 activation for those who happen to have already been vaccinated?
Well, sure. The experimental treatment, which is this vaccine, is absolutely unproven, unfortunately, and that's sad but true. So we don't know what the course of the disease will be in people that are exposed to this, but we do know right now there's a very safe, cost-effective, and efficient way you can decrease your risk, and that's by increasing your NRF2 levels. So if someone's been vaccinated, that's great, but it doesn't decrease the chance of having low NRF2 levels in their bodies already. So it's a good thing to increase by taking Protandim.
And just like people get the flu vaccine, that doesn't mean that they absolutely won't get the flu. Yeah, so it's not, this is about overall health and everything else you might encounter besides COVID or the flu or anything else.
Also, the difference there is that flu vaccines have a long history of testing and use worldwide. This is uncharted territory for everybody, I tell you. It's
right. And guys, we are not going to talk about, should you take the vaccine or anything. We're not going to answer those questions. We don't want Dr. Huey getting sued. So, and no, I need to say too, also guys, is that, this is Dr. Huey and his medical opinions and so forth. Is not necessarily the opinions of necessarily LifeVantage. And because we don't claim to cure, prevent, or mitigate any disease, but you listen to the science and you can make up your own decision. With that, the other question, of course, and I know you're going to answer that, was, how does NRF2 work? We're going to actually talk about that again, about its activation. So that's one of those things.
We'll go through that in the slides in a little bit.
So in fact, so what we're going to do now, what tonight was about is that we shared with Protandim. Now we're going to talk about, and Dr. He's going to go in depth. We're going to show you a video, our corporate video, and it's going to be about 11 to 12 minutes about Protandim, and then the other two products that complement Protandim that has the same technology, where they penetrate the cell and activate various things in the cell, and so the video is going to describe that. Then Dr. He's going to come back and share about activation and about more in depth about these two products, and then, which is really exciting, how when combined, how all three of them work individually, what they do, but then combined, the power that they bring, by working together in your body. So with that, we're going to share with you this particular video, and then Dr. Hugh will be back in about 11 minutes and 50 seconds.
Vitality and even mental performance and clarity, it all lies within you. Your very own genetic structure that you can turn back on with just the flip of a switch. Now, we know our cells aren't performing the way they used to. If we don't know the science behind it, we can certainly feel it, right? And we know that there's a way to change that. But is there a way to avoid it in the first place? Unless we live in a vacuum, probably not. From the moment we stop growing, we start the aging process. Our cells decline, and the world's harsh environment hits us hard. Our DNA is getting hijacked from all around us, from the food we eat, water we drink, the people around us, and the choices we all make, the environment we live in, the air we breathe, and yes, even the technology you're using to watch this right now. And while we can do our best to limit all of these things, they're simply a part of life. especially in the 21st century. All of these contribute to dimming the lights. You know that feeling. The feeling of just, well, living. Day to day, admit it or not, it can be exhausting. When we're not careful, we begin to feel fatigued, sluggish, stressed. Our moods change, and we lack or lose motivation. Our brains get tired and foggy, and our immune system can even start to take a hit, which is why we look to flip the switch. Research shows that the major contributing factors to these symptoms are oxidative stress, mitochondrial decline, sirtuin decline. There are many theories of aging, but the most important is oxidative stress. But don't worry, because you have the power to leverage those genes and flip the switch back on. If you could unlock the potential for your most optimal energy, vitality, and performance to improve the quality of your life, why wouldn't you? Here's the problem: oxidative stress. You've probably heard about antioxidants. We know they're good for us, but what exactly do they do? You see, antioxidants keep cells healthy. They fight off free radicals, the stuff in our body responsible for oxidative stress. Again, our environment, the food and water we consume, and even the personal choices we make and technology we use can alter our DNA. Actually alter it. These choices, these factors, these changes can affect our cells' potential in keeping us healthy. Here's what's actually happening. Oxygen splits, an electron gets orphaned, and it steals electrons from other atoms to stabilize itself. Those floating little rampant particles are called free radicals. Now unstable, they'll stop at nothing to stabilize themselves, which can cause harm to the cells and alter the DNA. Antioxidants are great because they stabilize free radicals without becoming unstable themselves. When we're young, our body is incredible at creating antioxidants, maintaining this process. But as we already know, this begins to slow over time. And what made us feel like youthful, energetic teenagers makes us now feel, well, old. Thankfully, we know how to flip the switch and turn that process back on. To flip the switch on oxidative stress and neutralize free radicals, we introduce the world to Protandim NRF2 Synergizer. The revolutionary Protandim NRF2 Synergizer is a proprietary blend of natural ingredients that signals the NRF2 pathway to turn back on. So instead of inundating the body with dietary antioxidants, which will never be enough to keep up with the trillions and trillions of free radicals we create every minute, we simply turn on the NRF2 pathway, returning it to its normal state, boosting your body's own antioxidant production. This is the process of activation. Dietary antioxidants are like fighting cellular wildfires with splashes of water. But activation actually changes the weather and landscape back to cultivating rich, lush cellular rainforests. Activation is the scientifically proven way to tell your body to do what it's always done better. And it's as easy as the flip of a switch. Protandim NRF2 Synergizer's proprietary formula has 32 independent studies and has been backed by top research facilities and universities like Harvard, Colorado State, Virginia Commonwealth, Ohio State, Texas Tech, the American Heart Association, the American Journal of Physiology, the National Institute on Aging, and the American Aging Association, just to name a few. All this work and study garnered so much attention in the health and wellness community that it was finally featured on an ABC primetime special. To quote John Quinones,
"You want to get an edge on turning back the clock with just a few pills? Who doesn't? Well, it's no longer science fiction, but science possibility. It all centers around this small yellow pill. It's called Protandim. Have we turned back the clock? Well, maybe not on the outside, but deep inside within my cells. Yes, indeed."
It's the reason we have 7 patents and have sold over 28 million bottles and counting. It's the reason we continue to be the world's best solution and foremost experts in combating oxidative stress. It's the reason no other product on Earth has been proven to lower oxidative stress by an average of 40% in 30 days. Our business is neutralizing free radicals and upregulating your cell's natural functions to their optimal settings again. No fruit or veggie can do that, especially when they're more prone to it than we are. Makes you think, huh?
So I use Nerf2 as a therapy to help my body remain healthy, but get stronger in the process and remain strong. I'm 45 years old and I feel healthier than ever. As a biochemist, I can geek out all day about it, but I can tell you, when my mom looked at me and said, if you can get your health back where you were, what can I do for my health? But Nerf2 can shift and change your life. It can flip switches in your body for your body to function at its optimal level. That's amazing.
Nerf2 literally has me feeling better now than I have ever felt in my entire life.
Now, every cell has mitochondria, and the mitochondria provides the energy and vitality necessary for the cell to accomplish its job. So what happens when the mitochondria dies or breaks down? Well, technically we make more. We're constantly repairing and fixing or even just removing damaged mitochondria. But the more time we spend fixing and repairing, the less time we spend energized, living to our full potential. Mitochondrial decline is one of the major theories of aging, and while Nerf2 is the first big step towards healthy longevity, that process needs to get its energy from somewhere, right? Like the NRF2 pathway is responsible for the production of natural antioxidants, the NRF1 pathway increases the actual production of mitochondria, giving the Nerf2 synergizer even more results. We call these two the dual synergizer. Even on its own, Protandim NRF1 Synergizer is built to upregulate mitochondrial biogenesis by nearly 70%. A fancy way of saying 70% more energy to help combat and regulate free radicals and oxidative stress. As we continue to research theories of aging, our insatiable desire to flip the switch in cutting-edge science led us to the discovery of Protandim NAD Synergizer, proven to increase sirtuin activity by 100% in just 24 hours. Sorry, I got a little ahead of myself. Let me digress. Here's why that's so important. Nerf2 is our keystone at LifeVantage. It's how we launched the company and how we've been so successful through the years. We've addressed oxidative stress and came up with a solution to provide an energy source. But what happens to all the waste and mess that's left over afterwards? That's why sirtuins are so important. Think of sirtuins as the cleaning crew for your house, or the sensors and computer in your car. Sirtuins are in charge of regulating cellular homeostasis, or simply just keeping the cell in balance. When cells break or repair or even stabilize, they create waste, just like our bodies when we consume, create, or repair. Sirtuins are the band-aids, garbage cans, vacuums, stain remover, air freshener, and glass cleaner all in one. They're powerful little proteins that pack a punch. But there's a catch. Sirtuins can only operate in the presence of NAD, which is why Protandim NAD Synergizer was scientifically formulated to activate the NAD pathway in order to upregulate production of sirtuins by 100% in 24 hours. Double. You have the ability to double your cellular cleanup balance and health in just one day. Twice the ability to revitalize. Twice the cleanup when you energize. Twice the stability when you neutralize. Neutralize, energize, revitalize. Now, while each product can be taken individually, their truest power comes when taken together. As a matter of fact, Protandim Tri-Synergizer was shown to have more than a 1,700% increase in gene expression over simply taking a single product on its own. Imagine saying goodbye to how you feel right now and what kind of a result 1,700% improvement must mean for your mood and motivation, your mental focus, clarity, concentration, even your vascular system and healthy inflammatory response. For less than $2 a day, you can begin flipping the switch against oxidative stress and change your life forever. For less than a cup of gourmet coffee a day, you can get over a 1,700% increase in upregulation and gene expression with our Tri-Synergizer. Less than $5 a day to flip the switch and literally change your DNA to a better, healthier, more balanced you. That's a no-brainer. We make ordering simple with things like standard free shipping, subscription discounts, a 30-day no questions asked money-back guarantee, full customer support, and even a customer, friends, and family discount. Simply share these products with those you care about and receive credits on future orders. Who doesn't like saving money?
All right. Well, there you go, Dr. Huey. Of course, go ahead and you begin to share about how that activation. I think people like to know. We said we'd answer that question, so you can act with that activation again and share that. And then at the same time, then go ahead and go a little bit deeper into the what these the NRF1 and NAD do, and then how they work synergistically together.
Okay, I just wanted to. I like that. I like that video. Who doesn't like to save money? I like that. That's a good line. So last time we were talking about NRF2 specifically with COVID. I just wanted to go over a couple of things because I know you wanted me to do that. Again, these opinions are my own on all these three products, as well as how the NRF2 affects COVID, and no doubt how the use of all three will affect the ability to stave off this infection as well. So that's the little guy they were talking about. That's a representation of the COVID virus. And here we can see that there are different types of areas where it can infect, cause inflammation, and then cause severe disease. At each step of the way, increasing NRF2 helps out with this. So we talked briefly before, if we can prevent the NRF2, prevent the COVID from getting into the epithelial cells in the lungs by decreasing that ACE2 transport protein, that's what increasing NRF2 actually does. If we can decrease the inflammatory response by increasing your glutathione levels, that's what increasing NRF2 does. And if the cells are significantly infected, the actual anti-inflammatory effect of increasing NRF2 also has a profound effect on this whole pathway. So at every step of the way, which is quite amazing, at every step of the way, increasing one particular protein, which is NRF2, which is exactly what Protandim NRF2 does, can make a difference. So I think that's very exciting. And then people are also asking about how it actually works. So here's the rub. NRF2 will get activated if there's a viral infection, like with COVID, if there's oxidative stress, stress inside the body, other infections, or something else going on, like cancer, for example. That will happen. How convenient is it for us now to be able to not have to go through this before we can cause this pathway to occur? So we don't have to wait for all these bad things to happen before we can activate the NRF2. It goes into the nucleus and it makes all those, activates literally thousands of different genes, but the ones in particular are the ones that destroy free radicals and increase glutathione. So I think that's, yes, the body will try to go through this pathway naturally, but it makes a heck of a lot more sense to have it revved up and already active before these things even occur. So that is the product we're talking about. We talked about last week in detail and this week as well, insofar as its ability to help activate the other two products that we'll discuss in a few seconds here. And that video did a wonderful job of explaining how these things work. This is the NRF1 synergizer, and NRF1 is it's called a nuclear respiratory factor. So you're talking about not so much the idea of respiration in your lungs, but actually the goings on inside the mitochondria. And everyone remembers back in school days, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. And indeed, it makes, I guess, 95% of the ATP in the body, which is kind of important. So that's how your body runs itself. It is literally the gasoline, or maybe now the e-power, to be more politically correct, that runs our cells. Every tissue requires ATP for the tissue to grow, to heal. And the more ATP we can make, the healthier the body is going to be. These are the different things that are found in NRF1. L-carnitine is just an amino acid, helps the body, again, make energy from fat. Quercetin is a flavonoid, which is a plant pigment, and it's anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, antiviral, antioxidant. Again, keep in mind, these are the individual constituents of the NRF1. and they've been available for a long time, but putting them in the proper sequence, in the proper order, in the proper amount, just like they did with NRF2, is what makes it special. Grapeseed extract, a proanthocyanidin, also a type of flavonoid, increases circulation, decreases inflammation, and is also an antioxidant. Alpha-lipoic acid is an organosulfur compound, again, antioxidant, and it's found in the mitochondria, and it's necessary for cell production. And then finally, CoQ10 is a fat-soluble antioxidant, and it's used in electron transport. So all these things you can see are intimately involved with either within the mitochondria itself or in maintaining the health of your system and decreasing inflammation, that type of thing. So the NRF2, or I should say NRF1, gets inside the cell as well. It activates good pathways and activates specifically genes that lead to increased mitochondria translation. So you make more mitochondria, and also the health of the mitochondria is also extended. So if you have more little powerhouses making more ATP, giving more energy, that has to help your body's ability to fight off infection, to fight off inflammation, to stay healthier longer, just by virtue of the fact that it takes energy to get these things done. More energy is better. You can never have an overabundance of energy that causes any deleterious effects. It helps us in every way imaginable. So that all by itself, excuse me, what NRF1 does. Then they came up with Protandim NAD. NAD is a chemical nicotine adenine dinucleotide, which is basically a chemical that you use in energy production in the body as well. But they found out that, and these are the different things with NAD. NAD is involved with those sirtuin genes that the guy was talking about in the video. So what are the sirtuin genes? Mammals have 7 of them. We have 7 of them. And if you starve a system, an animal, it can be anything from a nematode to a rhesus monkey, and humans as well. But there have been a lot of research done on other animals. We're just starting the research in humans. But any system that has sirtuin genes, when you starve the system, you increase the function of the sirtuin genes, and that particular animal lives longer. But you have to decrease it by anywhere from 40, 50, 60% of the calories. And that to me is a situation where you can't eat your cake and have it too. All right. You have to definitely decrease the body into, one may think almost a starvation mode. So how do you know if those sirtuin genes are important? Well, if you take them out of the system and starve the animal, it doesn't happen. So the thought process here is, how can we activate those sirtuin genes from an external supplement without having to starve ourselves in the process? Well, that's what the NAD, Protandim NAD is doing. Cupris niacin, which is basically a vitamin B3 with a copper attached to it, which works similar to a superoxide dismutase. Wasabi powder is another organosulfur, strongly antibacterial. Olive leaf extract, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, helps with upper respiratory tract infections. Again, you can see there's a theme here. Every single constituent and all the different products, whether it's NRF2, NRF1, or NAD, they all have value all by themselves. But the key is when you put them all together, and here's a 3-crine, which is a plant alkaloid that basically kind of works like caffeine if you give too much, but it also helps to relax the nervous system if you give it in low doses. All these things react in a synergistic fashion. You hear that word a lot, synergy, but it's true. The ability of the body to, or the ability of these different natural compounds to work collectively in our bodies, I don't think is any accident. It's just the fact that we've been able to, through research now, find the ones that work the best, that create the most amount of glutathione, that create the most effective mitochondria, that help the sirtuin genes activate so that you double that within 24 hours, which is remarkable. So it's the ability of the body to just take the natural nutraceuticals, if you will, in our environment and make the best use of them. And LifeVantage has very expertly taken the ones that are good all by themselves and do a wonderful job when added in the right amounts and in the right order. So the idea of neutralize, energize, revitalize, obviously with the NRF2, you can neutralize by increasing glutathione. You can increase NRF2 in the body. That can potentially neutralize an infection, specifically COVID, as we were talking about before. Energize with the NRF1, increasing mitochondrial health, mitochondrial replication, mitochondrial longevity. All these things are affected by increasing that NRF1, and then finally revitalize by giving your body the ability to actually age more slowly without having to starve yourself, which I don't think too many people relish the thought of not eating half their meals every day. So that idea is in and of itself very, very appealing. Then when you take all three of these products and you add them all together, let me go here. And then I have to step out for a second and go here. You can see that now?
No,
You can't see that?
no.
Oh, hang on. All right, I apologize for that. Let me go to this. Oh, hang on. There we are. And then I'm going to go to, here it is. You can see that now?
Yes.
Okay, very good. I apologize for that. Didn't work on the bugs out here. And here, when you take all three, he was talking about 1,700% increase in certain genes. These antioxidant genes here are increased by, when you're taking all together by 78% to over 800%. The ones that increase the mitochondria anywhere from 60% to over to 100%, I should say, and the NAD increasing these two genes actually activate the NAD, which then works on our sirtuin genes from, what does that say, 129% to 227%. That is where the magic happens, because if you've got three products now that in and of themselves are able to do wondrous things for the body. Last week we talked about just what NRF2 can do with glutathione and with NRF2 all by itself. It's just remarkable. And then we've got two other products that help with mitochondrial health and also help with sirtuin activation to decrease aging in the body. You put all those three together and they don't interfere with each other. They actually enhance each other. So when you're talking about synergism and the word of synergy, the easier word to remember that is it just enhances. Each one enhances the other. They're building blocks that help to improve each and every aspect of the activation of all three of the different products. So it's a wonderful time to be alive, I tell you that, because despite having to wear masks, it's still a wonderful time to be alive because we have this ability to enhance our gene expression. And I think that as more and more people understand how valuable this is, because some of the numbers are kind of they put people off. I think 800% of this is 1,700% of this, but the idea of taking your genes and making your body behave as they did when they were younger is extraordinarily appealing. Keeping people healthier without having to starve themselves is also very appealing. And putting these three things together in a way that safely and, which is amazing, cost effectively, you're talking $5 a day. It's just remarkable. I mean, the prescription, and it's not even equivalent, but the prescription activator of NRF2 in the medical world is $50,000 a year, and it's only 60% as powerful as Protandim. So when you keep that in mind, that this is extremely cost effective and simple. You just have to swallow some of these tablets each and every day, and your body knows exactly what to do with those natural compounds. It knows exactly what to do with combining the synergistic effect or enhancing the effect of each one of those. And lo and behold, you have this wondrous increase in the body's ability to maintain a much younger and more youthful physiology and functioning in each and every cell. So if I don't sound excited about this, I apologize, because I think I am. It's pretty special.
Well, Dr. Huey, thank you. I appreciate it very much. And I think just remind them too, even though you've been focused on glutathione, the fact of the matter is that that's not you talk about gene expression and the number of enzymes that it actually activates is much more than the glutathione.
Yes.
So yes, the glutathione is just known as the mother detoxer, and so it has so many abilities. We kind of focus on that, but the fact of the matter is that it's many more than that as well. So
I can just tell you one more thing. I had my nutrition diplomate meetings. They were actually in October of this year, and it was about mental health and physiological enhancement of the brain. And each and every pathway that the different presenters, I was not presenting at this, I was just an attendee, but each and every pathway that the presenters mentioned, I would plug in that particular gene, that particular pathway, and NRF2. And lo and behold, there was a paper or several or dozens talking about how increasing NRF2 enhances that pathway. You're talking about at least 4,500 different genes in the body that are affected by this pathway just by NRF2. And now if you can affect all those 4,500, even more so by adding these other two synergizer supplements, it's unbelievable.
So to understand each one, why, of course, as you mentioned, your children are on the product, correct?
Yes.
And of course, it's recommended that because the idea is prevention is better than cure, costs a whole lot less.
Yeah.
Right. So, so can children take it? Yes. Depending on what the age they are and so forth, they may not take a whole pill and so forth. But the point is that as you grow older, whether it be that our ability to ward off the free radicals, it lessens because these enzymes, glutathione, superoxide dismutase, and others that you mentioned, they begin to slow down and stop working. So that's why they call them free radicals, because now nothing's hindering them from doing the relentless daily damage on our bodies, which end up producing oxidative stress, which is then, affects what we call, it produces things like fibromyalgia and arthritis and heart disease and cancer, right? All of them. So, and so the same thing with the NAD, how much do we lose, by the time, like my age of 29, but I'm kidding, 64. How much of the NAD do we lose by, as we grow older?
How much do we lose percentage wise?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, that varies on many things, on your diet, on your exercise rate, that type of thing. So it does vary widely, but you're right. It decreases in every single human being as you age. There's no one's making more NRF2 as they get older. Nobody's making more NRF1 as they get older. No one's making more NAD as they get older, unless they take these products.
So understand that the technology of each one of these is that the synergistic effect of these different herbs and so forth, as they work together to penetrate the cell and turn each one of these on, repair the mitochondria, help grow the mitochondria, help actually restore NAD 100% in 24 hours. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
So that's a really big deal, guys. And so, like you said, this is really some great breakthrough stuff, and brings everybody to the optimum health. You'll want to get on it. Again, if you have more questions, we're gonna continue to field those questions and so forth. Just let you know what we're going to do. We're going to be on twice a month. So the first 2 Thursdays of the month, now we're going to go to March. And the first Thursday is going to be more of a testimonial. In fact, I'm scheduled to have my son, Luke, who was in a near fatal car accident. And so we're going to talk about his car accident and his recovery, of which, these products helped and be a part of that. You'll want to check it out, guys. It's just a phenomenal story. Actually, is now, of course, many of you know, is a movie. So it's inspired by the true events that actually took place. So, that'll be the first Thursday of March. And then we're going to come back with Dr. Huey, and because he's got some phenomenal results with some of his patient base and so forth, that as we're working with those in regard to using the probiotics, and of course, along with these products which he just shared with you. So, again, this will be on here on beeducatedinyourhealth.com. It's recorded and be there for you. We want you to get together with the person who invited you to this webinar and get with them. You can ask them the questions, and we'll help to answer those, and of course help you to start your way into to the optimum health by getting on these great products of ours. So thank you very much for being on tonight, and we look forward to hearing from you, and we'll see you the first Thursday in March. I believe it's March 3rd, and then again on March 10th. So thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Huey, for taking
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And for sharing all this. We appreciate it. Anything else at the last minute you want to share? Anything that you want to, anything else to, nope, we're good.
I
Thank
look
you.
forward to next month.
There we go. So so send in your questions and so forth. We're here to help. God bless you. Thank you. Be safe.
All right. Good night.